I was approached by another extortionist today. Does she say that?
No, she's talking very carefully.
And you say carefully, but isn't carefully the same thing as code?
No, they're two totally separate things. You know the difference?
You weren't really giving her money for a TV, were you?
Giving her money for a TV.
This TV is probably going to be about $5. Okay. I need you to bring cash tonight.
I wish she picked another object on planet Earth other than TV. But TV is code for absolutely nothing. There is no code in this case involving TV. And you keep circling and circling and circling TV, you're wrong.
Is it a coincidence that the repair of the TV that you bought Wendy as a divorce gift because it was cheaper than hiring a hitman is your sister's alibi for the murder, and then your mom brings up TV first call on the wire?
It's not an alibi for a murder. She had a broken TV. You got to ask Lincoln who threw the remote at the TV.
Was it a coincidence? Is the TV thing a coincidence? That's what I hear you say.
Oh, that the repairman was there that day?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that is a coincidence for sure. There's a couple of coincidences in this case.
I'm sorry, I cut you off.
I said there's a couple of coincidences in this case. I mean, she had people send her an email to go buy a bottle of Bullet bourbon for their Stock the Bar party, and she was driving to a liquor store to buy a bottle of Bullet bourbon on that day, at that time, and her friend sent the email, and you have the email in evidence. Like, is that a coincidence? Yeah, coincidences happen.
And the you might not be the right Katie talk, that doesn't seem to really fit with your theory of the case, does it? What was your explanation for that? Why you kept saying you might not be the right Katie? I mean, she's definitely the right Katie, right?
Absolutely. She knew it was. I was implying it was her. I was just trying to say I'm not setting you up, but I need your help.
On call B, you call your mom back, and you say, you probe her a little bit, and ultimately you say, you think someone's trying to blackmail you? That's crazy. Why does it sound like this is something that's new and unfathomable to you at that moment?
Well, because I wasn't even following what my mom was talking about on the first call. And on the second call, when she shocked me when she said that. And I'd been extorted before, and her saying to bring cash, everything just didn't sound right.
Could we play clip 4, please? This is from Dolce.
What? Sorry, from what?
Clip 4 from Dolce.
Okay.
Even if they had any evidence, the first words out of your mouth on this clip, even if they had any evidence. No. Strike. The quote is, if they had any evidence, we'd have already gone to the airport. And I know you already testified about this, but does an innocent person say, if they had any evidence?
Right. Katie's saying it's the police, and I'm saying that we're innocent. They're not going to have any evidence to show we were part of something that we were part of. If we had any part of this, we'd be going to the airport right now. And I
Isn't
still say
it
the
true,
same
doctor,
thing.
that they're not going to have any evidence because you were careful?
No, because we weren't a part of this.
You were smart.
No, we weren't a part of this.
You walled yourself off from the killers.
I was sure they're not going to have evidence to show I did something I didn't do. So we're not running to the airport.
And you're untouchable, right?
No, we didn't do a murder. I wasn't part of a murder. There's no reason to run to the airport.
In the next clip, you're discussing what's going to happen if this person that did the bump goes to the police. And you're going through all these scenarios, these possibilities.
Wait, if he goes to the police?
Yeah, if the blackmailer goes to the police, they're going to say, where's the weapon? And he's not going to know. He's just going to have hearsay, basically. Someone told me they did it, and it's not going to be enough to get the investigation anywhere. Why are you thinking through the possibility of the blackmailer going to the cops if the blackmailer doesn't have any dirt on you to take to the cops?
I wasn't thinking about the blackmailer. What I was trying to say is I don't know anything about Sigfredo.
What if I told you that a successful dentist, a man who spent his life perfecting smiles, orchestrated one of the most calculated and devastating acts imaginable, all to keep his family together? What if I told you he thought he was smarter than everyone else, that his words would save him, when in reality, every conversation he had was building an invisible prison around him? What if the very thing he believed would prove his innocence, his voice, became the weapon that destroyed him? And what if I told you that this wasn't just about one man's arrogance, but about an entire family so consumed by control that they crossed a line from which there was no return? This is the story of Charlie Adelson, a man who couldn't stop talking. And that mistake didn't just cost him his freedom. It cost him everything: his career, his family, and ultimately his entire future. Before we dive into this deeply disturbing case, I need you to do something. If you're drawn to stories that expose the darkest corners of human behavior, stories that challenge everything you think you know about family, loyalty, and justice, then hit that subscribe button right now. Join the Dark Trail Files community, where we don't just tell stories. We uncover the truth, piece by piece, no matter how uncomfortable it gets. Turn on those notifications, because cases like this don't just deserve to be told. They demand to be remembered. We dig deeper than the headlines. We follow the evidence wherever it leads, and we never stop asking the questions that matter. So subscribe now and become part of a community that refuses to look away from the truth.
I don't know anything about this crime. I was trying to tell her that I'm harmless. I don't have any knowledge of what went on. Like, the last thing I wanted is that now that she's saying it's the police, is someone to come and kill me and think I'm some kind of loose end. So that's why I'm saying that.
But that's not what you're saying. You're saying if this is a person that Luis Rivera ran his mouth to, and they go to the police, it's going to be worth zero. Because they're not going to know anything other than, hey, my brother told me this.
I don't know if I was saying with someone who knows Luis Rivera. I was trying to make a point that I don't know anything.
And then you suggest what they would have to do is get him to wear a wire and get the person to confess, and that's probably what this could be, an effort to do, right?
Well, they're thinking that we were part of a murder, so this was the same thing I said before, is that this is their theory, so this is a police tactic, and it could be either a bad guy or the police, and this is how they're pursuing it.
Exactly. So as long as you keep your mouth shut, you can get away with murder, right?
No, not at all.
Isn't that what you told Ryan Fitzpatrick?
No, Ryan Fitzpatrick is someone who stole over $500,000 from me.
That's not my question, sir.
Sorry.
Did you say that to Ryan Fitzpatrick?
No, never. Never at all.
Why do you go into so much detail about rental car examples? Let's start with, strike that. Can you agree that the Prius, you knew that the police were looking for a Prius at the time you met at this Dolce Vita restaurant?
I think it had been released at that time.
All right, and you heard the recording. You're arguing. Let's play the clip. This is going to be clip, I think let's play 7 and 8, please. Dolce.
Because the fact is, like, even if, let's say, you just got my car, and then I go ahead and I get in the car, and then I go, and you're dating in the car, I go, yeah, she was in my car, and he got out, and she did this horrible crime. Okay, they come and they get the DNA in the car, and they go, no, he was in my car. No, he was out of the car for 2 minutes, got an EHC, and then got out of the car. He has nothing to do with you. Outside of that, there's no evidence. Okay? You know, if you have a car and you can link this person to renting that car that you okay. But you have to prove that they were also driving that day and rented it and lent it to a friend. What if you rented a car and hey, can I borrow it for the weekend? I'll bring it back on Tuesday. You go, yeah, sure. So you rented a car. You've been in that car. I drive into fucking Orlando. I rob McDonald's in Orlando. I come back and I go, here's the keys, and you go, okay, thanks. Yeah, you rented it, but what if you were fucking out all weekend and you didn't even know I took your car? I did something and I brought it back. I don't have any knowledge of what evidently this person is either pretending to or does. I don't want someone paying business here.
Sounds like you're saying even if they track down the Prius, even if there's DNA or fingerprints in the Prius, meaning like they can link someone to the Prius, that's not going to be enough evidence to make any arrests in this case. Is that what you're saying?
No, not at all. What I'm doing is I'm restating.
You've answered my question.
Can I give you an
On redirect, you'll have an opportunity.
Well,
my question was.
One moment.
My question
We're not
was-
just wildly arguing. Mr. Adelson, please answer the question.
okay.
I can just ask you a yes or no question.
Please allow me to
and you're-
answer your question.
Okay.
Can I?
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Knock yourself out.
What I was saying to Katie is that the information she had just told me in the car about Sigfredo not being there when the crime was committed, she told me that Sigfredo was high on drugs at the hotel and that Luis had rented a car and that he's the one who killed Dan. And I'm restating to her that I don't have any knowledge of what went on, and that all I know is that Sigfredo wasn't even there when this happened. So that's what I'm restating to her.
That Sigfredo can't be caught even if he's connected to the crime, to the car?
I know that Sigfredo wasn't the one who killed Dan.
Okay.
July 18th, 2014, Tallahassee, Florida. A warm summer morning in the quiet, tree-lined neighborhood of Benton Hills. Dan Markel, a 41-year-old law professor at Florida State University, pulled into his garage after dropping his children off at daycare. Brilliant, driven, and deeply devoted to his two young sons, Dan had built a respected career in legal academia. His articles on criminal law and retributive justice were widely cited. His students admired his passion and intellect. His colleagues respected his dedication to the craft of teaching. But his personal life had become a battlefield. Dan was locked in a bitter custody dispute with his ex-wife, Wendy Adelson. Their 2013 separation had been contentious from the start, marked by disagreements over finances, property, and most critically, where their children would live. Wendy wanted to move the boys to South Florida, closer to her family. The Adelson family was tight-knit, deeply involved in each other's lives, and Wendy's mother, Donna, desperately wanted her grandchildren nearby. But Dan refused. He had won a court order preventing the relocation, determined to remain an active father in his sons' lives. The boys were his world, and he wasn't going to let them be taken hundreds of miles away. This decision would seal his fate. As Dan sat in his car that morning, checking his phone, two men approached from behind. Without warning, without hesitation, without mercy, they fired 2 shots into his head through the driver's side window. Neighbors heard the gunshots, but didn't immediately understand what had happened. By the time someone called for help, the 2 men had fled in a silver Toyota Prius. Dan Markel died in the hospital 14 hours later, never regaining consciousness, never knowing that the people who ordered his demise were closer than he could have imagined. The investigation that followed would span nearly a decade, unravel a wealthy family's darkest secrets, and expose a conspiracy so brazen, so calculated, that it would captivate the nation. At the center of it all stood Charlie Adelson, Wendy's brother, a successful South Florida periodontist with money, connections, and an unshakable belief that he could never be caught. He was charming, intelligent, well-educated, and convinced that his family's problems could be solved if Dan Markel simply disappeared. Tallahassee police immediately suspected this was no random act of violence. The precision, the timing, the execution, everything pointed to something planned, something professional. This wasn't a robbery gone wrong or a carjacking. This was an assassination. Surveillance footage revealed a silver Toyota Prius circling Dan's neighborhood multiple times in the days before the incident. The car was caught on camera at least 8 times, methodically surveilling the area, learning Dan's patterns, waiting for the perfect moment. Cell phone records placed 2 men, Luis Rivera and Sigfredo Garcia, near the scene at the exact moment Dan was targeted. Both men had extensive criminal histories. Both men lived in South Florida, hundreds of miles from Tallahassee. Both men had absolutely no known connection to Dan Markel or Florida State University. But why would these men, with no apparent connection to Dan Markel, travel hundreds of miles to end his life? The answer lay in a web of relationships that investigators would spend years untangling. Catherine Magbanua emerged as the critical link. She was the mother of Sigfredo Garcia's children, and she had been in a romantic relationship with Charlie Adelson from 2013 to 2015. The timeline was crucial. Catherine began dating Charlie just months before Dan's passing, and their relationship continued for more than a year afterward. Even more suspicious, after Dan's passing, Catherine began receiving regular payments from the Adelson family dental practice, checks signed by Charlie's mother, Donna Adelson. There were no employment records, no job title, no work schedule, no indication that Catherine had ever performed any dental work. Just money flowing from one family to another with no legitimate explanation. The amounts were significant, tens of thousands of dollars over several years. When investigators questioned the Adelsons about these payments, the explanations were vague and constantly changing. First, Catherine was a dental assistant. Then she was being paid for training. Then the payments were loans. The story kept shifting, and none of it added up. Catherine Magbanua took the stand, and what she revealed would forever change the trajectory of this case. Her words painted a picture of a man desperate to solve a problem, by any means necessary. She described conversations with Charlie, where he made it clear that Dan Markel was an obstacle that needed to be removed.
Ma'am, please say your name and spell your name.
Catherine Magbanua, Katherine Magbanua.
I see that you're in jail clothes. Are you currently in custody?
Yes, ma'am.
What are you in custody for?
For murder?
Are you doing a sentence for murder?
Yes, ma'am.
You were convicted of murder?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that the murder of Dan Markel?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have a trial in your case?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you testify?
Yes, ma'am.
You testified on your own behalf?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And when you testified, were you truthful with the jury?
No, ma'am. I was not.
Did you take the same oath that you just took today in your own trial?
Yes, ma'am.
What was your defense when you were tried?
That I had nothing to do with it.
All right. That we got it right in reference to Charlie Adelson, and we got it right in reference to the killers,
Yes,
but you
ma'am.
weren't in the middle.
Yes, ma'am.
Was that true?
No, ma'am, it was not.
Were you in the middle?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
And didn't you also testify in the trial in which Sigfredo Garcia was convicted of murder?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
And what was his defense?
That he had nothing to do with it.
That we got it right in reference to Charlie Adelson, and we got it right in reference to the killers, but he had nothing to do with it,
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
Objection, Your Honor, B.
Overruled, Ms. Calvin, make sure you use any questions.
And was that defense truthful?
No, ma'am, it was not.
So Sigfredo Garcia was involved.
Yes, ma'am, he was.
So why tell the truth now?
I believe that the truth needed to come out now so that the family can get some type of closure.
Why didn't the truth need to come out last year or the year before or the year before that?
I was trying to defend myself.
You were trying to get off.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you think you'd be successful in your trial with that defense?
I thought so.
Has anyone promised you anything for your testimony here today?
No, ma'am.
Weren't you originally offered immunity for cooperation in this case?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
But you didn't take us up on that
No, ma'am, I didn't.
because you thought you could get off completely.
Yes,
Right.
ma'am.
And now you're doing a life sentence.
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Did Charlie Adelson threaten to harm you if you told the truth?
No, ma'am, he didn't threaten me.
Did anybody threaten you to keep your silence?
No, ma'am.
Did anybody promise you anything if you remained silent all these years?
I wasn't promised anything, but I mean, I wasn't promised anything.
Go ahead, finish your thought. You weren't promised anything, but what?
I thought everything was going to be okay.
You thought you'd be acquitted.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So, did you know Dan Markel?
No, ma'am, I did not.
Did you have any personal beef with him?
No, ma'am, I did not.
What was your motivation for becoming a part of this murder plot?
Financially.
So not as a favor to Charlie Adelson?
Objection, Your Honor. Leading the objection. Leading.
I'll rephrase it, Your Honor. Was it a favor to Charlie Adelson?
Yes, ma'am, it was.
Okay, but your primary motivation was not favor to Charlie Adelson?
Well, yes, ma'am, it was. And financially.
All right, because you were going to get paid for
Yes.
your part?
Yes,
How much
ma'am.
did you get paid?
I don't know the exact amount.
What was your relationship to Charlie Adelson?
He was my ex-boyfriend.
When did you meet him?
I believe that was in 2013.
Do you know what month?
Has to be around September.
Can you point him out and describe what he's wearing?
He's sitting over there with a blue jacket and a blue tie.
Let the record reflect the witness has identified the defendant.
The record will reflect.
Show you what I marked as states 48. Recognize this exhibit?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
How do you recognize it?
That's when we went to Key West.
Is that a fair and accurate photo of you and Charlie Adelson?
Yes, ma'am, it
Is
is.
that when the two of you were taken when the two of you were dating?
Yes, ma'am.
Judge, at this time I ask to move into evidence states 48.
Okay, objection. No objection, Your Honor. 48 is admitted.
Do we have that for publication? So, was this photo taken before or after the murder?
Before.
Who came up with the idea to kill Dan Markel?
Charlie.
So, Sigfredo Garcia didn't come up with the idea?
No, ma'am, he did not.
Luis Rivera didn't come up with the idea?
No, ma'am, he did not.
When did the defendant first bring this idea up to you?
My first recollection was around Halloween of 2013.
Around Halloween or on the actual?
On Halloween, yes, ma'am.
All right. What's your recollection of how that came up?
We were at a Halloween party in Lincoln Road, and right before we were about to go, he got in the car with me and he asked me a question.
What was the question?
Do you know anybody that can harm someone?
And did you know anybody that could harm someone?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Who was that?
Sigfredo.
And at the time, what was your relationship with Sigfredo?
Wasn't the best.
But he was the father of your children, right?
Yes, ma'am. He,
So were you dating both men at this time, or were you only dating
no,
Charlie?
I was only dating Charlie.
Okay. And so he meaning the defendant, initially said, do you know anyone that could harm someone? Was he aware of your connection to Sigfredo Garcia when he made that statement?
Not that I know of. No, ma'am.
Did you suggest Sigfredo Garcia at that time to the defendant?
No, ma'am.
What did you say?
I just said yes and kind of left it alone.
All right. Did it go any further than that at that time?
Not that night. I don't
Did
believe
you
so.
know who he wanted harmed
Did
at that time?
no, ma'am.
All right. Had you become aware during the course of your relationship with him that he had some kind of issue going on with his sister's ex-husband?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
What did you learn about that?
He was just stating that his family wasn't, his mom and dad was stressed, and that his sister was having problems with her husband and custody of her 2 children.
And when did you learn that the person that the defendant wanted harmed was this ex-husband of the sister?
I believe later on.
All right. And when did you learn the name Dan Markel?
It wasn't until, I don't know if it was on my trial or when Sigfredo got arrested.
Okay, so even when he was killed, you didn't know the name of the person that was being killed?
Yes, I never knew his name.
How did the defendant refer to this person, if not by the name Dan or Danny Markel?
Wendy's husband.
So you knew that the person that was going to be initially harmed was Wendy's husband?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you knew that there were issues, or what did you know about the beef with him?
He painted this picture that this was a terrible man and making his family go through a lot custody-wise with his sister.
Right, and when he would say these things to you, is it in the context of his mom specifically or his family in general?
I believe it was more towards his mom.
Meaning what?
That his mom hasn't been sleeping, his mom is not eating. I know his dad wasn't the best health either, but he would refer to his mom a lot.
All right. And the reason she wasn't sleeping or eating, did that have to do with this ex-husband of Wendy?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ever...
Luis Rivera, facing federal charges on an unrelated matter, made a decision that would crack the case wide open. He approached prosecutors with information about Dan Markel's passing. He admitted his role in the incident and identified Sigfredo Garcia as the one who pulled the trigger. Most importantly, he described how Catherine Magbanua had connected them to someone willing to pay $100,000 for the job. That someone, prosecutors would later argue, was Charlie Adelson acting on behalf of his family. In 2016, both Rivera and Garcia were charged with first-degree offense. Rivera accepted a plea deal, 19 years in prison for second-degree charges in exchange for his testimony. Garcia went to trial in 2019 and was found guilty, sentenced to life in prison without parole. He maintained his innocence throughout, refusing to cooperate with investigators even when offered potential deals. Catherine Magbanua's first trial ended in a mistrial with a 10-2 vote for conviction. The jury was deadlocked, unable to reach unanimous agreement. But prosecutors tried again. In her second trial in 2022, she was found guilty of first-degree offense, conspiracy, and solicitation. She received life in prison plus 2 consecutive 30-year sentences. Her conviction was a turning point. It meant prosecutors now had a direct connection between the hired individuals and the Adelson family. 3 people were now behind bars. But investigators believed they were merely the instruments. The true architects of Dan Markel's demise had yet to face justice. Luis Rivera's words from the witness stand were devastating. Despite his criminal background, his testimony carried weight because of one critical factor: specificity. He didn't just tell a story. He gave details that only someone truly involved could know. He described the planning, the surveillance, the payment arrangements, and most importantly, the connection to Catherine Magbanua and through her to Charlie Adelson.
I want to clarify one thing. You didn't extort Charlie Adelson, right?
No.
One moment. Veronica, are you having problems still hearing? All right. If you can assist him. Mr. Rivera, make sure you speak as loudly as you can,
right.
sir.
Thank you.
And the answer to that question was no, right?
No.
You were paid $37,000 in your role in the murder of Professor Markel, right?
Yes.
You were supposed to be paid $35,000.
Yes.
Sigfredo Garcia, the shooter, gave you an extra $2,000, right?
Yes.
Your understanding was that the total payment was $100,000, correct?
Yes.
And that it was a one-time payment.
Yes, sir.
And you were told that you, Sigfredo, and Katie were hired by a lady to do a murder for hire, right?
No. If I was told by the lady,
No, I'm sorry. Let me slow down. You were told by Sigfredo that all of you were hired by a lady to do the murder, right?
yeah.
That you were doing it so that she could get her kids back.
Yes, sir.
And all of your information came from Sigfredo, Garcia, and Katie, correct?
Sigfredo, yes, sir.
Okay. And all of Sigfredo's information, to your knowledge, came from Katie, right?
Yes, sir.
Everything you knew about the murder plot came from Sigfredo.
Yes, sir.
According to you, Katie was the mastermind.
Yes, sir.
She was the one, as you've said, running the shots.
Yes, sir.
Anything that Sigfredo or you did in connection with the murder had to be cleared through Katie, correct?
Yes, sir.
And Sigfredo and Katie lied to you about a lot of things about this murder, right?
Lied about what?
Well, let's go through it. For starters, during the first trip in early June, Sigfredo told you that you were going to do a robbery, right?
Yes, sir.
Not until on the way up did you find out that you were going to do a murder.
Yes, sir.
Before the July trip, you didn't want to go, right?
Yes, sir.
And to convince you, Sigfredo again told you that you were just going there to scope things out.
Yes, sir.
During the second trip, the day before the murder, you drove by Professor Markel's house. Do you recall that?
Yes, sir.
And you testified that at some point after you arrived at Markel's house, after noon on the 17th, you saw a woman and two kids walking on Trescott by the house.
Yes,
right?
sir.
And the woman looked at you as the Prius passed and immediately got on her phone.
Yes, sir.
You testified that you asked Sigfredo what was up with the lady. Do you recall that?
Yes, sir.
And Sigfredo responded that that's her. That's the guy's wife. That's the one that wants the kids back.
Yes, sir.
You asked Sigfredo what the lady was doing there on Trescott with the kids.
Yes, sir.
And Sigfredo responded that she came there to make sure that everything was all right,
Absolutely.
meaning all right with the plan.
Yes, sir.
As you sit here now, you're aware that the woman and the kids on the street was not the same lady, right?
I don't know if that was her or not, but she looked at my car.
It's possible that Sigfredo lied to you, right?
Who knows?
Another lie that Sigfredo and strike that, Your Honor. Your understanding is that the money for the murder would be paid by the lady, right?
Yes, sir.
Again, your understanding came from Sigfredo.
Yes, sir.
You didn't go with Katie to get the money, right?
No.
So you don't know where she got it from,
No.
and you don't know what happened when she got it.
No.
Sigfredo never told you that he and Katie got more than $100,000 the night of the murder, did he?
No.
That would make sense why you got an extra $2,000, right?
Maybe.
And Katie never told you that they got more than $100,000 the night of the murder, right?
No.
Sigfredo never told you that he and Katie were getting paid every month after the murder, right?
Never knew nothing about that.
You didn't know that they were getting paid $3,000 a month.
No.
You didn't know that they were getting paid $1,000 in Adelson Institute checks, did you?
Nope.
But you saw that Sigfredo was spending a lot of money, right?
Yes.
You saw that Sigfredo even told you that he had paid for Katie's breast augmentation surgery, right? Her breast surgery?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. If you told me about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He told you he paid for it, right?
That's what he said.
You didn't know that Katie was getting money from Charlie Adelson every month in an extortion plot, did you?
No.
In May of 2015, you get arrested on a federal RICO case, right?
Yes, sir.
And you were detained.
Yes, sir.
And you wanted to get out of prison, right? You wanted to get a bail.
Yeah.
You started thinking about the fact that Katie and Sigfredo seemed to be spending a lot of money, right?
No.
Okay. So let's briefly recap all the lies that they told you. Not that you made, but that they told you. They lied to you about the purpose of the trip going to Tallahassee, right?
Yeah.
They lied to you about who the lady was on the street.
Yeah.
They lied to you about the amount of money they received.
Yeah.
They lied to you about getting money every month.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it possible that they lied to you about the purpose of the job to begin with?
They don't even got the money. Where they want to get the money from?
Isn't it possible that you thought it was a murder for hire, but it was really an extortion?
Extortion to who?
Charlie Adelson, not from you, but from them.
Okay.
Isn't it possible?
I don't know.
By the way, on Friday, you testified that you just wanted to rob the lady, right?
Yes, sir.
But Sigfredo was adamant. We can't rob the lady. We got to do the murder.
Yes, sir.
Isn't that because he wanted to keep on getting money every month?
I don't know.
But you would have just robbed him, right?
Yep.
Would have been a lot easier, right?
Real quick.
Would have been a one-time payment, right?
That's it.
Couldn't have gotten paid over time, though, right?
I don't know.
Well, if you rob someone, it's hard to keep robbing them over and over and over again.
Absolutely, of course.
All right, so I want to back up a little bit, and I thank you for your honesty there. You've never met Charlie Adelson, correct?
Nope.
You've never seen him before this case.
Nope.
You've never spoken to him by phone.
Never.
And you've never communicated with him in any way.
Never.
You've never met Donna or Harvey Adelson.
Nobody.
You never spoken to them by phone.
I didn't meet nobody.
And the same goes with Wendy Adelson, correct?
Nobody.
You know Sigfredo your whole life.
Yes, sir.
You're like brothers.
Yes, sir.
You've known Katie since she and Sigfredo started dating when they were teenagers.
Yes, sir.
You considered them to be married.
Yes, sir.
Sigfredo was deeply in love with Katie, right?
Absolutely.
He would do, as you've said, anything for her, right?
Anything.
He was, as you said, blind over her, right?
Yes, sir.
Katie treated him badly.
Yes.
She messed up his head, as you've said, right?
Yes, sir.
At some point, you learned from Sigfredo that Katie was having a relationship with someone she worked with, right?
Yes, sir.
Sigfredo told you that Katie was cheating on him with someone called the dentist.
Yes, sir.
According to what Sigfredo told you, Katie was sleeping with the dentist at the same time she was sleeping with Sigfredo, right?
Yes, sir.
So Sigfredo knew that Katie was cheating on him,
Yes, sir.
and he wasn't too happy about it, right?
Nope.
Sigfredo told you that the dentist had money. Let me rephrase. Sigfredo told you that Katie told him the person she was with was rich.
No.
The FBI designed an undercover operation targeting the Adelson family. In 2016, an undercover agent approached Donna Adelson at a restaurant, posing as someone connected to the case. The agent handed her a flyer about Dan Markel's unsolved situation with a phone number to call. It was a test. Would she react like an innocent person, confused and concerned? Or would she reveal knowledge of the conspiracy? Would she call the police? Or would she call her son? Donna immediately called her son, Charlie. The conversation was recorded, and it was explosive. Does it involve me or other people? Charlie asked nervously. Well, probably the both of us, Donna replied carefully. You probably have a general idea what I'm talking about. So let's just find some time to talk to each other. These weren't the words of confused, innocent people being randomly approached. These were the words of people who immediately understood what it was and knew they needed to discuss their response in private. What happened next was extraordinary. Charlie Adelson, believing he was being contacted by someone involved in the original plot, called Catherine Magbanua. His words, captured forever on tape, would become some of the most damaging evidence against him. He was panicked, urgent, and desperate to make this problem go away.
Hello? Hola, diga. Hello, diga. Who is this? Who's this? Someone's been calling my family and trying to figure out who this is. In reference to what, man? Someone by the name of Sammy called? Yeah, that's me, man. All right, what's going on? Well, what's going on is my brother Tato. Okay, my brother Tato has not been taken care of. His family's not been taken care of. I talked to a dentist. Why are you calling me? Who are you? I gave the number to a lady. I don't know Tato. You don't know Tato? I'm sure you know Katie and Tuto. They've been taken care of since the family problem been taken care of up north. I don't know who you are. You don't? Well, this isn't going away, my friend. Because let me tell you something. I was at Broward with Tato, and he told me the whole story. He told me nobody was taking care of him. Nobody was taking care of his family. The family was taking care of Katie and Tuto, and nothing's been taken care of with Tato. So we know what's going on. And Tato needs to be taken care of. Do the right thing. The lady already has the paperwork. She knows what I'm talking about. We know Katie. We know Tuto. We know we've been taken care of. All right, let me look at it. No more f***ing around, man. No more f***ing around. This ain't going away. You guys need to do the right thing for Tato. That's my brother, man. That's my brother, and he needs to be taken care of. His family needs to be taken care of, just like Katie and Tuto have been taken care of. I've never met these people, but let me call you back, okay? That's bullshit, man. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You know this lady. I don't know your relationship with this lady, but we know what the f*** is going on. This ain't going away. Take care of Tato just like you take care of Katie and Tuto, man.
Charlie, in a state of near panic, called Catherine demanding she find out who it is and tell them to stop playing their games. His voice was tense, his words rushed. He continued, "I don't know who you have to talk to, but it needs to be nipped in the bud." He spoke with the authority of someone who knew exactly who Catherine could talk to, the people who had carried out the plot. He wasn't confused about what was happening. He was trying to control it. These weren't the words of an innocent man being extorted by strangers. These were the words of someone who knew exactly what it was, who was involved, and who needed it to stop immediately before everything unraveled. An innocent person would have called the police. Charlie Adelson called his co-conspirator. In April 2022, nearly 8 years after Dan Markel's passing, Charlie Adelson was arrested at his South Florida home and charged with first-degree offense, conspiracy, and solicitation. He was held without bail, placed in solitary confinement for his own protection, and faced the reality that his carefully constructed life was crumbling brick by brick. The successful periodontist, the beloved brother, the devoted son, all of it was collapsing under the weight of evidence that had been building for years. This moment is almost surreal. Charlie Adelson, shackled in the back of a transport van heading to testify at his mother's proceedings, excitedly enjoying fast food from Wendy's. He jokes with the officers, talks enthusiastically about his meal, maintains an almost cheerful demeanor. It's a glimpse into either remarkable denial or a man trying desperately to maintain some sense of normalcy while his world collapses around him. It humanizes him and makes him more relatable, yet simultaneously exposes just how detached from reality he had become.
My man, thank you so much, man.
Charlie,
Yes, sir.
we are across the street from the jail. I'll go as slow as I can, but you eat what you. I ain't gonna. You eat it all. I'm not gonna take you out the van until you're done. You good?
Any chance I could just take one cup off? You want that? I'll take the diet and heat. Stand up.
Sit down. Sit down. Which hand?
Sit down.
Then I can take my shirt off too. We'll get there. It's just hot as fuck. Thank you so much, man. Invest.
Little fist bump. And he's got his Wendy's. He's about to try down. So see, here's this, like, it's a small checkered print. In the photo that Joel had, the jacket, he didn't have his arms through the sleeves. He just had it over him, like going through security at airport. Or going through... Yeah, that's right. Is that a nugget and some sauce? What kind of sauce, guys? Barbecue? He's like, oh my God. Prison food must be really bad if Wendy's is tasting that good. Or maybe he just hasn't eaten in a while because of the day of travel. Go Charlie, go Charlie. And like fountain soda. Do you think they get fountain soda in jail or it's out of a can?
His trial began in October 2023, just before his 47th birthday. Charlie's defense was bold and risky. He claimed he was the victim of extortion by Catherine Magbanua, Sigfrido Garcia, and Luis Rivera. According to Charlie, these individuals orchestrated Dan's demise on their own, without any involvement from him or his family. Then, recognizing an opportunity, they targeted the wealthy Adelson family for money. He paid them, he said, not because he was guilty, but because he feared for his family's safety. They were dangerous people, and he was protecting his loved ones the only way he knew how. It was a narrative that required the jury to believe several things. That Catherine Magbanua, his girlfriend, had independently orchestrated a professional hit on a law professor she'd never met. That she and her associates then randomly decided to extort the victim's ex-wife's family. That Charlie, rather than going to police, decided to pay these dangerous criminals for years. And that all of this was simply an unfortunate coincidence. Charlie took the stand in his own defense, a risky move that many defendants avoid. He needed the jury to believe him, to see him as a victim rather than a villain. He needed them to understand that he was just trying to protect his family from bad people. What followed was a performance, but not the kind his defense attorneys had hoped for.
Did you have any input on the decision to change the boys' names from Markel to Adelson?
Absolutely not.
Do you and Donna have to protect Wendy?
No.
Does Wendy appreciate everything you and Donna do for her?
You got to ask her. I mean, she's my sister. I love her. I try to give her my best advice I can. If I care about her, and I give her my advice, whether she takes it or not, is up to her. She's a grown woman.
Let me ask it another way. Do you feel, or isn't it true that you don't feel that Wendy appreciates everything you and Donna do for her?
My sister had no idea what I've been through in the last, God knows how many years, and what I wake up worrying, am I going to get killed? Am I going to get arrested? And she knows none of it. She's just going around her life, and I had somewhat of an innate anger towards her. You know, probably unjust because she didn't know what happened. But yeah, I was upset.
And weren't you saying on the wire that she doesn't appreciate what you and Donna have done for her?
I don't know if I said that she doesn't appreciate what I've done for her, because I never did anything for her.
Okay, so that was my next question. What have you done for her? Nothing?
Other than give her advice and care about her, be a big brother that loves her.
Would you say Wendy's a little bit spoiled?
In some regards, I mean, she gets a lot of help, for sure.
Is she a little less savvy about how the world works than you are?
I don't know. I mean, you got to ask her.
Could you trust Wendy with a secret that could ruin your life?
It's not a secret. It's something that would get me killed, so I didn't want to tell her.
Can we agree that she obviously knew something about this crime?
She found out when she came to court. I never told her anything.
I'm talking about the murder of Dan Markel. She knew something, right? I mean, it's not a coincidence she went to the crime scene, is it?
You're talking about the route that she took that day?
I'm talking about her pulling up to the crime scene tape.
She never went to the crime scene. She was going to buy a bottle of liquor that, coincidentally, the person sent her a stock the bar party for buy a bottle of bullet bourbon that she was going to pick up. She wasn't driving to a crime scene, and I think she made that clear too. Nobody knew a murder was taking place.
She pulled up to the crime scene tape, Dr. Adelson.
She didn't pull up to the crime scene tape. She was driving down the street and then had to make a U-turn. It was blocked off. But she wasn't going to.
She couldn't help herself.
Nobody knew a murder was going to take place.
She exposed you all to some degree by those actions, didn't she?
No, not at all.
And then she threw you under the bus in her interview, didn't she?
Nobody knew a murder was going to take place.
She knew her husband had just been shot, and they were asking her who would want him dead, and she said your name. Are you mad about that?
No, she said a lot of people's names.
Well, she said yours in the first 25 pages of a 5-hour interview. Isn't that true?
I wasn't there for the interview.
But you've reviewed it in preparation for your trial, haven't you?
I actually don't know if I've seen her interview.
There was a lot of questions of you about, didn't you do this murder with Wendy? Doesn't the state think you did this murder with Wendy? Are you familiar with your charges in this case?
Yes, I'm very familiar with my charges.
Right. And who are you alleged to have done this murder with?
I'm alleged to have done this murder with my sister, my mom, and my dad.
Would it refresh your recollection to review a copy of the indictment in this case?
I'm a slow reader, but I could read it if you want.
May I approach your honor?
Okay.
This is the official charging document in your case, Dr. Adelson. What does it say in reference to who you are alleged to have committed the murder with?
This is, what date is this? 2022. Oh, they think I did a murder with Katie.
Catherine McBanoa.
Yes.
Anybody else?
Give me a minute, I'll read. They got Luis Rivera in here. They got Sigfredo Garcia.
As being alleged to have committed the murder with you?
Did I read it too quick?
Take your time. Should just be at the very top of each charge. On or about July 18th, 2014, did unlawfully.
Okay. Yeah, Katie. Catherine.
Okay. Are you mad that Wendy hasn't been charged and you have?
No, I'm mad that I got charged for a crime that I didn't commit.
Do you have any innate anger with Wendy over that fact?
No, not at all.
Are you pissed that she told all that stuff to Jeff Lacoste?
I don't think she said that to Jeff, but I wasn't there.
How did Lacoste know about the celebration dinner?
That we went out to dinner. She got sick, so she may have told someone that she threw up.
And then what, he just added the part about you referring to it as a celebration?
I never referred to it as a celebration dinner. I picked my sister up. I said, where do you want to go to eat? She said she wanted pizza or sushi. I said, I know a great sushi place. We went there. We didn't have reservations. We ended up sitting at the bar for an hour waiting for our table, and she had 2 drinks and got sick.
She vomited on the dinner table. or at the dinner table.
Yeah, she got her to the bathroom. But yeah, she doesn't drink alcohol. So those 2 drinks, and I think on an empty stomach, I think she got really sick. But there was no celebration dinner. It was the first time that she actually really left the house since she got back from Tallahassee. She was devastated.
Did you say something to her about the murder of Dan Markel right before she vomited?
Absolutely not.
Do you remember what you said right before she vomited?
She was I think she said, "I don't feel well." And I say, "Oh no," and then she threw up.
Before that?
No, I think I said, "Oh no," and then she threw up.
Before she announced that she was going to be ill.
Right.
Do you remember what the conversation was?
Just how's the food? How's your? I mean, we were probably about halfway through dinner. If you look at the timetable, we weren't there long.
Why did you brag to Jeffrey Lacoste about your connection to the Cuban criminal element?
Never said that to Jeff Lacoste.
So he's making that up?
If he said it, I never said it.
Well, you were in here when he said it, weren't you?
I heard him say it, yeah. But I never said that to him.
On one of these calls, and it's in the context of talking about Dave and Wendy's relationship with Dave, you tell your mom that you've already gone above and beyond for Wendy. Was that a reference to having her ex murdered?
No, that's me getting tired of this Dave stuff. I mean, Dave's a great guy. I mean, everyone who meets him likes him. He's not only super successful, but he's very low-key, like T-shirts and jeans kind of guy. And he loved my sister's kids. I mean, if you listen to The Wire, the point I was making is not how successful he is. The point I was making is that my nephews farted on him, and he thought it was funny and didn't bother him. And he also has 3 young kids, the same ages as my sister's 2 young kids. They actually met in line when my sister was registering the kids for school, and it was they've been friends for years. So I thought it was a great opportunity for my sister to have a great guy in her life. And I was getting sick and tired of Dave calls, and The Wire started in April. My sister's birthday's in April, Dave's birthday's in April, so you got a ton of Dave chatter on this case. But believe me, I'd go crazy if I was talking about Dave like this all year long.
So that's a no? You did not reference having her ex murdered?
Absolutely not.
When you said
no.
You've already gone above and beyond?
No, that was me getting sick of dealing with the Dave stuff. As great as the guy as he is, I was still getting sick of it.
When the $1 million offer was conceived, do you recall whose idea that was?
My parents.
Why was the relocation worth $1 million?
Well, it was actually I was going to pay a third, so I only looked at it as that way. Why was it worth it?
Mm-hmm. That's the question.
Because it was going to help my sister out, and it was going to be it was going to give her a good opportunity for a good job down here, and she was going to be around family, and family's important, so that's why.
Isn't it true that financially you came out ahead on this deal as opposed to if you had coughed up the third of the $1 million offer?
How in the world did I come up ahead? This is the craziest
Financially,
thing.
you paid $138,000, then you paid $2,000 a month plus the $1,000 payroll amount. You're still about over $100,000 ahead financially than if you had coughed up the $333K.
No, I would have been better off paying. And first of all, I never paid for murders. This is a crazy question, but paying $3,000 a month for life is not anything anybody wants to do.
I didn't say anything about paying for a murder. I said you paid $138,000, which you did.
I got extorted.
Charlie was articulate, well-spoken, and defiant. He explained the payments as protection money. He explained the phone calls as attempts to negotiate with extortionists. He explained the coded language as normal conversation being twisted by overzealous prosecutors. But with every explanation, with every attempt to justify his behavior, prosecutors saw an opening. His need to justify himself, to appear smarter than the evidence against him, to out-talk the accusations, became his undoing. There are moments in trials when a defendant's memory becomes their prison. Charlie's recollection of specific details about Dan Markel's passing, Details an innocent person might not know, details that went beyond what was publicly reported. Raised eyebrows throughout the courtroom. His knowledge was too specific, too detailed, too intimate for someone who claimed to have had nothing to do with the planning or execution.
When you get to the house, you said you called Katie after your shower. Why did you call her?
To see if she was still planning on coming over and what time she was going to be there, because it was already like 10:15.
And did she come to your house that night?
Yeah, she said she was going to be leaving shortly, and I think I even said either text me or call me when you're on your way.
Did she actually come to your house that evening?
Yes, she did.
Okay. Around what time did she arrive?
She got there about 11 o'clock.
What happened when she arrived?
When she arrived to my house, she came in through the garage, entered into the kitchen from the side door like she always does, and she just looked panicked and upset. I mean, she walked straight in and gives me this big, tight hug and asked me, like, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah, just a horrible day." But she looked more upset than I've ever seen her. And I'm like, "Are you okay?" She's like, "No, I'm not." I'm like, "What's wrong?" She's like, "Just come sit down. I need to talk to you."
Where did you go?
We walked into the living room.
And what happened when you got to the living room?
We sat down on the couch, and she started to talk to me. And she said, "Listen, this is all my fault, but I had no idea anything was going to happen, but this is totally my fault. I spoke in too much detail about your family's personal problems, about your sister, Dan Markel, and the $1 million offer."
What did you say?
I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And she's like, "My friend killed Dan, and he wants to be paid $1/3 of $1 million."
How did you react?
I was like, "What did you just say?" And she's like, "My friend killed Dan, and he wants you to pay $1/3 of $1 million."
What happened next?
I stood up, and I started cursing it. I'm like, "What the fuck? Are you kidding me?" And she's like, "No." I'm like, who did this? Who's your friend that did this?" And she's like, "I don't want to say. I can't say." And I said, who was it? And she just kept saying, "I'm not going to tell you." And I was like, was it Sigfredo? And she's like, "No, I'm not telling you." And I just walked in my bedroom and sat down on the edge of my bed.
What happened when you got in the bedroom?
She came into the bedroom, followed after me. She sat down next to me. She started telling me, like, "I'm so sorry. This is all my fault, but I didn't know any of this was going to happen." And I'm like, "Katie, I'm not going to be part of this shit. Like, I'm not going to be part of."
The jury heard conversations between Charlie and Catherine that prosecutors argued were clearly in code. References to the problem, payments discussed in vague terms, urgency without explanation, instructions to contact certain people without naming them. To Charlie, these were innocent conversations being misinterpreted. To prosecutors, they were a roadmap of guilt, a window into a conspiracy that thought it was being clever.
You may continue with publishing the next call.
Thank you, Judge. The next call is BB.
What happened? Somebody called my dad's office today. He wasn't informed. Saying that they dropped off some paperwork to him. Last week. And there was a phone number on there. And it's actually the person was Erica. And then Erica told my mom up because she's like, normally I wouldn't call you up, but I got a strange phone call.
Where's the phone number that they're calling from, though?
I can ask Erica, but Erica said, "Yeah, I've been in a Sandy, called the office this morning, saying that I left some paperwork with Dr. Adelson last week, and I left a number on there, and you need to call me at that number."
somebody's like fucking pulling your bones and shit.
Well, this is the third.
Call the number. Call the number. They don't want to call on my fucking phone.
I mean, there's someone who wants to be called back. Let's put it that way. Do you still have the number?
Yeah, well, obviously that number, nobody's picking up.
Well,
That's not a working number. It's like a Gmail number.
nobody's calling away. I'm just asking you to find out who the fuck it is.
It's like,
Yeah.
get that number that's off of the thing, off of the number, off of the freaking, caller ID.
At the office?
Yeah, obviously. Because this is like a fucking bullshit game.
Well, they're not coming out on foot. They're not writing letters, and they're not calling the office because they have nothing better to do.
Well, I don't know what to tell you because I called that number myself.
Okay, well, let's call that number again and find out what the fuck's going on.
And nobody picks up. And you just try another number and left a message.
Okay, well,
I'm trying to get whoever's threatening your family and helping you guys out. And trying to help you guys out, but it's like if they don't pick up, then what the fuck? It's like it's a fucking joke.
I understand that they fucking called this morning and they're waiting for the phone call. That's what I'm telling you. And since it's 3
The
times,
number or whatever that is that's calling you or your
the
family,
305,
whatever it is.
6570. You have the number.
Exactly. That number is obviously it's like a non-working number.
Okay, can you find out?
Okay, and it's like I don't know how to describe it. It's either somebody's pulling your bones, somebody is just harassing you, or somebody's trying to get something out of you.
Find out who the fuck it is, because the other phone call is going to be the FBI. I'm telling you. Well, I'm telling you, and then when they do catch the person, they're going to be asking lots of questions about who Katie is.
We already spoke about this. It's like not even like a fucking joke anymore, because obviously it's like somebody's fucking harassing you guys, or somebody's harassing and using my name. And it's like,
Okay,
I don't know.
Think it through. Find out who the fuck it is. That's all I'm asking.
No, I'm not going to take on my fucking cell phone because it's fucking bullshit. It's fucking somebody trying to fucking pinpoint some bullshit. Like it's getting aggravating.
Yeah, it is. All I'm saying is find out who the fuck it is and tell them to stop playing their games. I don't know who you have to talk to, but it needs to be missing the butt.
No, man, I'm going to handle this shit myself, bro, because this is some fucking bullshit. I'm going to handle it my motherfucking self. Well, change my motherfucking number. They fucking, if Erica wants to call back and like, oh, is this the right number? Okay, I have your fucking, whatever fucking taken care of. Okay, because this is fucking bullshit. I'm correct, bro. I'm about to go to that fucking FBI. I'm fucking getting irate with this shit already. It's either the FBI fucking playing games or fucking whatever it is because I'm fucking getting pissed.
Alright, we'll find out.
I'm saying. You give a wrong phone number. Maybe you're
Okay.
an idiot. You give a fucking wrong number. Get the fucking number and fucking call because I'm gonna call them.
Okay.
And fucking type to me, I don't even fucking give a shit about all this fucking coach shit, whatever shit anymore. I'm pissed the fuck off. Like, I'm gonna fucking go to the person now.
Okay, well, either you go to the cops or we go to the cops. So
Exactly.
We'll find out.
But both gonna fucking go to the cops because this is fucking bullshit.
We'll find out who the fuck this is. Because this person evidently knows you and knows your family.
Yeah,
They know me
exactly.
and they know my family.
You don't think that fucking scares the shit out of me? Like somebody fucking saying my name out loud or whatever?
If someone's messing with you, they're messing with me. If someone's messing with me, they're messing with you. It's one and the same. So what I'm saying is, find out who the fuck
That number
is.
doesn't fucking work. If you can get a hold, you go to different offices, call the motherfucking number. See if the fucking number works. Bottom line. Because I tried myself and that shit does not work.
Hey, call them, find out who the fuck it is now. Trust me on this. Find out who the fuck it is.
Get the number, listen to me, and get the number and something all of the things because there were people. I'm gonna call your parents, you go fucking FBI, where else fucking doing this thing, and fucking go and fucking report whoever's harassing you. That's it.
Hey, I gotta get back to this. Do you have the number I gave you the other day?
I have the fucking number.
Okay, good. Call it.
Listen, I called the number. This is not a working number.
Good.
That's a number that calls your fucking office. Listen to me for once.
I will. You're going to call Erica?
Fucking A, bro. I'm gonna fucking fuck up whoever the fuck is fucking with me.
I'm going to call my mom and have my mom call
That's
your
a
office.
fucking number. You guys tell me
Which
the
number?
fucking parents, that number they call it, and I'm not a working number. It's either somebody's singing, somebody's tapping into some shit, and somebody's just trying to fucking aggravate somebody.
Okay, let me.
And I'm aggravated.
Do you want me to have Erica go on the caller ID and look to see what number that was that
It's a
called?
fucking number. Obviously, they're calling from somewhere else, and it's not the same number that you say. How about you call and find that out?
Okay, do me a favor. Try that number I gave you the other day, and I'm going to call my mom and tell her to call Erica and ask her to look it up on the caller ID. Okay? But call me.
Whatever it is.
All right. Tension's rising a little bit.
The prosecution's theory was simple but devastating. Charlie and his family used coded language to discuss the conspiracy. They thought they were being careful, avoiding direct statements that could incriminate them. They used euphemisms, spoken fragments, relied on shared understanding rather than explicit words. But the pattern was unmistakable to anyone paying attention. The constant references to money, to problems being solved, to people who needed to be contacted, it all pointed to a shared secret. Charlie reacted with fury during the proceedings when this theory was presented. He felt personally attacked by the suggestion that his conversations were coded. "They're twisting my words," he insisted. "This is how normal people talk. This is a normal conversation." His face flushed red, his voice rose, and he pointed at the prosecutors with visible anger. He demanded they show him where he ever said anything incriminating. He challenged them to prove their interpretation. But his emotional outburst only strengthened the prosecution's case. Why would an innocent man be so defensive about something so easily explained? Why the anger, the indignation, the personal offense? Innocent people explain calmly. Guilty people attack because the truth is too close for comfort. Assistant State Attorney Georgia Kappelman stood before the jury and methodically dismantled every defense Charlie Adelson had offered. Her closing argument wasn't theatrical, it was surgical. She took each piece of evidence, each phone call, each payment, each inconsistency, and laid them out like pieces of a puzzle that only fit together one way.
Jury selection, we talked about the burden of proof and how it was my burden to prove this case to you beyond a reasonable doubt through evidence. And generally speaking, the defense's job is to poke holes in the evidence and argue that it falls short of meeting that high burden. And we also learned at jury selection that the defense does not have to prove anything. But sometimes if the law enforcement investigation is so thorough and so compelling that there's really no way to poke holes in the evidence, he has to basically admit his own words, his own text messages. That stuff is undeniable, right? And those things prove that he was in cahoots with Catherine McBanois in 2013, through the murder in 2014, and all the way up until her arrest in October of 2016. He knows he can't deny that he paid the killers because of this bizarre practice he had of stapling his money. So sometimes when a defendant can't attack the facts or the law, they instead try to explain it away by saying, you can't trust what you're seeing. It's not what it appears to be. It's actually something else entirely. Often, as in this case, the individual explanation, so when you zoom in on one piece of evidence with its attached explanation, can be like, maybe. But when you zoom out and you add all these things together, this explanation, and this explanation, and this explanation, this coincidence, and this coincidence, and this coincidence, it starts making less and less sense. It starts being less and less reasonable. And when you zoom out from the defense's theory, it's really unreasonable, right? Because to find it reasonable, you have to buy a lot of things that he's selling. The most obvious of which is that because Sigfredo Garcia hated him, he and Rivera traveled to Tallahassee twice to kill someone he hated in hopes that he would give them money for it on the back end. Please think about that. To hit this defendant where it hurts, these two dudes with no connection at all to Dan Markel and without 2 nickels to rub together, rented a car and paid for gas to come to Tallahassee and stay in a hotel twice in order to kill someone that this defendant hated. To harm him. And for what? To maybe get money. Maybe he just turns him in for murder. Why not just kill and rob him if what you're after is money and there's no hired hit? Why not just kill and rob him if your motive is, we hate him? Then the bad guys don't even have any contact with him, according to his own story. They didn't threaten him, they did not beat him into submission. Instead, they sent his own girlfriend to extort him on their behalf. And without any actual contact from the bad guys, the defendant just opened up his safe and handed over his beloved money that he had saved his entire life since he was a child. He just handed it over. Take it all. And when that amount wasn't sufficient, these stone-cold murdering gangsters let the defendant go on a payment plan to give him the rest of the money. They let Catherine McBanois skim off the top each month. And never, over the next 2 years that he was being extorted monthly, these gangsters, remember that money doesn't go to the principal, that $3,000 a month. They never show up to demand the remaining $195,000 that this defendant has agreed to pay them. Then, you also need to find reasonable that over the 2 years of this supposed extortion layaway plan, that the defendant continued to do what? Send these kissy faces and love texts to Catherine McBanois. He's sending these messages to a woman who got him into this mess, and he says he didn't suspect she was involved. What? What do we know about this man? He didn't suspect she was involved. She's taking the money. He's never even heard from the bad guys. He didn't see it that way, that she got him into this mess. They grew closer after she began extorting him for $3,000 a month. Meanwhile, the defendant and Catherine McBanois break up. She continues to maintain her direct and indirect contact with Sigfredo Garcia, the man who's extorting him, the man who murdered his former brother-in-law in cold blood. But he sees her as a friend. The kissy faces and the I love yous continue. Even after Catherine McBanois got back together with the man who executed Dan Markel, the father of his young nephews, and a guy who's actively extorting him, this defendant continued to reach out to her over and over again to offer her favors and gifts, including a birthday gift for Garcia, and to tell her he loves her and how lucky he is to have her in his life. Lucky? Next, to find a reasonable doubt here, you have to find it reasonable that the defendant never texted or talked about this first layer of extortion. Why? According to him, because Catherine McBanois said, let's never talk about this. So they didn't. Then you have to believe he never reported or revealed this information to law enforcement out of fear of the gangsters. And finally, you have to believe that this living in fear of death by gang members over 2 years didn't cause a change in his general demeanor that his friends noticed, but later the bump from law enforcement did. He says that's because, well, I became worried that I might be falsely arrested. So I wasn't a hot mess when I was being extorted by gang members and threatened to be killed and my whole family killed. But I became a hot mess when I started to get worried that the cops might be getting closer. And I have no real way of knowing if all this stuff sounds ridiculous to you, if it sounds reasonable to you, or if y'all just heard so much stuff that you're totally confused and can't even remember what the evidence in the case showed. But they only need to get one of you confused enough to derail this whole thing, right? So I've got to go through each thing with you. Your verdict has to be unanimous. So I want to go through the testimony, I want to review the evidence, and I want to spend a little bit more time talking about this multitude of explanations the defense has offered in an effort to really turn each piece of evidence on its head. This is Dan Markel. He is the victim in this case. A brilliant lawyer, a funny guy, a son, a colleague, a brother, a mentor, and a friend. But most of all, a father. A dedicated and loving father whose downfall was brought about by the fact that his number one priority was maximizing his access to those two little boys in the wake of a bitter divorce from their mother. And despite the defense's efforts to characterize their client as the real victim here, Dan Markel remains the only victim in this case. The only thing he was guilty of is fighting like hell for those kids. And he lost. He didn't lose in court, but he lost. This is what he looked like before this defendant hired a hitman to kill him. And this is what he looked like afterwards. The evidence has shown that on July 18th, 2014, this brilliant man was gunned down in broad daylight in the driveway of his own home. His horrific death ultimately set police down two separate paths following the two most promising leads they had. The first was to chase down that Prius that Mr. Geiger saw fleeing the crime scene. And we'll examine those efforts in detail. The second path was to ask, as we would in any murder investigation, who might want to have done this? Who would want
People don't talk in code if they have nothing to hide, Kappelman told the jury. She walked them through the timeline step by step. The custody battle that Dan Markel was winning, the Adelson family's desperation to move Wendy and the children to South Florida, the $100,000 that flowed from the Adelsons to Catherine Magbanua after Dan's passing, and Charlie's panic phone calls when the FBI operation began. She showed them the pattern. Every piece of evidence pointed in the same direction. He didn't pull the trigger, Kappelman said, looking directly at the jurors, but that doesn't mean he had nothing to do with Dan Markel's end. In fact, the evidence shows he had everything to do with it. Catherine Magbanua, now serving life in prison and facing the reality of never seeing freedom again, had flipped. For the first time under oath, she testified that Charlie orchestrated the entire plot. She admitted her role in connecting the hired individuals to Charlie and receiving payment for facilitating the job. Her testimony was damning, specific, and impossible to ignore. She described meetings, conversations, payment arrangements, all the details that prosecutors needed to connect Charlie directly to the conspiracy. The defense argued that Catherine was lying to reduce her own sentence, that she had orchestrated everything and was now blaming Charlie to save herself. But the jury had heard too much. The phone calls, the payments, the connections, the timeline, the behavior. It all pointed in one direction. And Catherine's testimony, whatever her motivations, aligned perfectly with every other piece of evidence in the case. On November 6th, 2023, after just 3 hours of deliberation, the jury returned with their verdict. 3 hours. For a trial that had lasted weeks, for a case that involved thousands of pages of evidence, the jury needed only 3 hours to reach a unanimous decision. That spoke volumes about the strength of the prosecution's case. This is the moment when everything Charlie Adelson believed about himself, his intelligence, his control, his invincibility, shattered. The camera captures something rarely seen in a courtroom. The complete psychological collapse of a man who truly thought he would walk free. He had testified, he had explained, he had justified, and the jury hadn't believed a word of it.
The verdict form is in its proper order. Madam Clerk, please publish the verdict.
In the Circuit Court of the Second Judicial Circuit in and for Leon County, Florida, the State of Florida versus Charles Adelson, case number 2016 CF 3036B, verdict. Count 1. We, the jury, find as follows as to count 1 of the indictment, first-degree murder. The defendant is guilty of first-degree murder. Count 2. We, the jury, find as follows as to count 2 of the indictment, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. The defendant is guilty of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. Count 3. We, the jury, find as follows as to count 3 of the indictment, solicitation to commit first-degree murder. The defendant is guilty of solicitation to commit first-degree murder. So say we all this 6th day
Guilty.
of November.
First-degree offense. Guilty. Conspiracy to commit first-degree offense. Guilty. Solicitation to commit first-degree offense. Charlie's face went pale. His hands trembled as he gripped the defense table. He rubbed his eyes, unable to process what he was hearing. His attorneys placed comforting hands on his shoulders, but Charlie seemed not to notice. He stared straight ahead, his mind trying to catch up with a reality he had refused to accept. Behind him, Dan Markel's father, Phil, buried his face in his hands, not in despair, but in relief. After 9 years of waiting, of wondering if justice would ever come, the moment had finally arrived. It is satisfying to see justice being done, Phil Markel said afterward, his voice thick with emotion. The wheels of justice turn very, very slowly, but right now we're grateful that they're still turning. Danny can rest now. He can finally rest. 1 month later, on December 12th, 2023, Charlie Adelson returned to court for sentencing. He stood before the same judge who had presided over his trial, still maintaining his innocence, still refusing to accept responsibility for what he had done. I would just like to say that I maintain my innocence, Charlie stated flatly, his voice devoid of emotion, offering no apology, no remorse, no acknowledgement of the devastation his actions had caused, no recognition of the 2 children who would grow up without their father, no acknowledgement of the parents who had lost their son, just a flat, mechanical denial. Phil Markel addressed the court with heartbreaking clarity. His words were measured but powerful, the grief of a father who had spent nearly a decade seeking justice for his murdered son. The Adelson family, in particular Charlie Adelson, has been a major cause of our heartbreak and the ending of our son Danny and the loss of our 2 grandsons. I have suffered tremendously. My wife and I have lost not only our son, but our grandchildren as well. We have no idea what these 2 boys know or have been told of Danny's passing. I truly believe they have been brainwashed in all these years. They've been taught to forget their father, to forget us, to forget that they ever had a life before the Adelsons took over completely. The sentence was swift and final. Life in prison without the possibility of parole for first-degree offense, plus 30 years each for conspiracy and solicitation, to be served consecutively. Charlie Adelson, at 47 years old, would spend every remaining day of his life behind bars. The judge's words were measured but firm. This wasn't just about punishment. It was about sending a message that wealth, education, and perceived intelligence don't place anyone above the law. The judge noted Charlie's complete lack of remorse, his refusal to accept responsibility, and the calculated nature of the conspiracy he had orchestrated.
Counts be run concurrently.
Very well. Mr. Adelson, I'm going to give you the opportunity to make a statement if you wish. You do not have to speak. However, this is your opportunity if you choose to do so.
I do.
You may stand.
Same. I would just like to say that I maintain my innocence.
Well, please rise. I'm now going to pronounce the sentence. With the jury having found you guilty of all three counts that you were charged with in your indictment of first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, and solicitation to commit first-degree murder, I am going to adjudicate you guilty of all three at this time, and you are going to be sentenced as follows. As to count one, the first-degree murder count pursuant to section 782.04 and 775.082 Florida statutes, you are sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of release or parole. As to count two, you are going to be sentenced consecutively to 30 years in the Department of Corrections for conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. As to count three, you are going to be sentenced to 30 years in the Department of Corrections consecutively for solicitation to commit first-degree murder. The credit for time served that applies in this matter is how much?
597.
597 days will be applied as credit for time served in this case. If the clerk could please read all fees and costs that would apply as well.
$2,100 as a fine pursuant to Florida Statute 775.083, $105 as a 5% surcharge required by Florida Statute 938.04, $20 as a court cost pursuant to Florida Statute 938.06, Crime Stopper Trust Fund, $3 as a court cost pursuant to Florida Statute 938.01, subsection 1, Criminal Justice Trust Fund, $50 pursuant to Florida Statute 938.03, Crimes Compensation Trust Fund, $225 pursuant to Florida Statute 938.05, Local Government Criminal Justice Trust Fund, $2 as a court cost pursuant to Florida Statute 938.15, County Criminal Justice Education, County Code 7-26, $50 as a court cost pursuant to Florida Statute 775.083, subsection 2, County Crime Prevention, $3 as a court cost pursuant to Florida Statute 938.19, Teen Florida Assessment, Mayor County, Florida Code 7-28, $65 as a court cost pursuant to Florida Statute 939.185, County Additional Court Cost, County Code 7-24, with a total of $2,623.
Mr. Rauschbaum, is there any lawful objection for you to raise to the assessment as announced by the clerk?
No, Your Honor.
Those amounts will be assessed at this time. Ms. Kappelman, I will reserve 90 days of jurisdiction to address the cost of prosecution in this case. By statute, the state is entitled to the 100, but this is in excess of the 100 is what you're referring to.
Yes, Your Honor.
Very well. 30 days to appeal both your conviction and now your sentence. Mr. Adelson, you are going to be fingerprinted today, and from here you are going to be sent to the Department of Corrections to begin serving your sentence. Mr. Rauschbaum, if you please can timely file the notice of appeal so that way there is no issues regarding any review of the conviction itself. Does either party have anything further to raise to the court before we finish for today?
Nothing from the state.
No, Your Honor.
We are in recess. Mr. and Mrs. Markel, have a good day. Thank you for being available so you can provide your victim impact statements. Have a good day.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you.
Cheyenne, you can take this. This is the pre-sentence investigation information. Two count one.
Perhaps the most revealing moment came hours after the verdict. A recorded jail call between Charlie and his mother, Donna, captured raw emotion, fear, and the beginning of the end for the entire Adelson family. Their words, meant to be private, revealed the depth of their involvement and their shared understanding of what had really happened.
Hello, this is a prepaid collect call from
Charlie.
an incarcerated individual at the Leon County Jail. This call is not private. It will be recorded and may be monitored. If you believe this should be a private call, please hang up and follow facility instructions to register this number as a private number. To accept charges and consent to this recorded call, press 1.
Thank you for using Securus. You may start the
Charlie.
conversation now.
Charlie.
Hey. Hey there, how are you?
How are you?
Okay.
I'm alright.
Where are you? Are you still in that cell?
Yeah, I'm still in here. So the chief's gonna see me at some point today, and whenever he comes through, and then supposedly Dan's gonna come to the jail, and I asked them, they said when your attorneys get here, they'll take you out to see them. I'm sure I'll see them behind glass.
So I thought Dan. I didn't know that Dan went. I didn't know if he went home or not yesterday.
No, he's driving home today.
Okay. So they will let you see him today.
Yeah, but I mean, it's going to be behind glass. I'm going to be picking up a phone, talking to him through a sheet of glass.
So, did you get sleep last night?
Yeah, on and off. I mean, they got the lights on. It's bright in here. It's like I just wanted to call and say hi. I don't even know why.
No,
that's okay.
I'm glad you said it. I was actually just talking to Dan, so it's not like we were sleeping.
Yeah.
But
You were talking to Dad or Dan?
Dan.
It's cold.
Yeah, but gonna have to talk when we have a moment about things that we need to take care of. Okay?
Yeah, I know the money and stuff like that. No, I got you.
Roman.
What?
And I have things I need to take care of for Roman and ways that we can take care of him and help him. So there's that, which is the most important. And then and figuring out about the dog. So gotta take care of things, Charlie. We gotta take care of things.
It's like I'm dead. I mean, I hate to tell you this. It ain't a whole lot different. Oh, fuck.
I know. Please, I know.
In that call, Charlie and Donna spoke in strained, emotional tones. The reality was setting in. Charlie would spend the rest of his life in prison. And Donna? She knew she might be next. They spoke carefully, aware their call was being recorded, but the emotion leaked through. The fear, the regret, the understanding that their actions had destroyed everything. Donna tried to comfort her son, tried to tell him it would be okay, but her voice cracked with the knowledge that nothing would ever be okay again. 1 week after Charlie's conviction, on November 13th, 2023, FBI agents arrested Donna Adelson at Miami International Airport. She and her husband Harvey had one-way tickets to Vietnam, a country with no extradition treaty with the United States. They were fleeing, running from justice with no intention of ever returning. When agents confronted them at the gate, Donna initially denied knowing anything about any investigation. But the evidence told a different story. Prosecutors charged Donna with first-degree offense, conspiracy, and solicitation. They argued she was the true mastermind, the matriarch whose hatred of Dan Markel and desperation to have her grandchildren close had set the entire conspiracy in motion. According to the prosecution's theory, Donna had been the driving force behind the plot, using Charlie as her instrument to make the arrangements. Donna's proceedings, originally scheduled for September 2024, was delayed when her attorney, the same attorney who had represented Charlie, withdrew due to a conflict of interest. The proceedings was rescheduled for August 2025, giving Donna nearly 2 years to contemplate her fate while sitting in jail. When Donna's proceedings finally began in August 2025, prosecutors painted her as the calculated, controlling center of the conspiracy. They presented evidence of her involvement in financial arrangements, her discussions with Charlie about the problem of Dan Markel, and her attempts to influence testimony. Wendy Adelson testified against her own mother, revealing that Donna had encouraged her to testify in a way that would help Charlie and had been upset when Wendy's testimony didn't help her brother. The fracture in the family was now complete. Daughter testifying against mother, the family unit that had once been so tight-knit now torn apart by betrayal and survival instinct. On September 4th, 2025, after just over 3 hours of deliberation, the jury found Donna Adelson guilty on all counts. She gasped audibly when the first verdict was read, then sobbed uncontrollably as the remaining verdicts followed. "Oh my God," she cried, shaking uncontrollably at the defense table, supported by her attorneys. "This can't be happening. This can't be real." On October 13th, 2025, Donna was sentenced to life in prison without parole, plus 30 years to be served consecutively. During her sentencing, she maintained her innocence, reading from a prepared statement. "What happened to Danny is unforgivable, but I am an innocent woman convicted of this terrible act without evidence. I've never gotten a parking ticket in my entire life, but I'm going to prison for an offense I did not commit. I'm a grandmother, a mother, a wife. I devoted my life to my family, and now I'm being punished for loving them too much." The judge interrupted her multiple times, noting her utter lack of remorse and continued refusal to accept responsibility. The judge stated, "You have shown no acknowledgement of the pain you've caused, no recognition of the life you took, no compassion for the children you've harmed. Your only concern has been for yourself and your family's reputation." 5 people are now serving prison sentences for Dan Markel's demise. Luis Rivera, 19 years, Sigfrido Garcia. Life without parole, Catherine Magbanua. Life without parole plus 60 years, Charlie Adelson. Life without parole plus 60 years, Donna Adelson. Life without parole plus 30 years. Wendy Adelson has not been charged. Prosecutors have indicated the investigation remains ongoing, leaving open the question of whether the final chapter of this case has been written. Some legal experts believe there isn't sufficient evidence to charge Wendy, while others argue that more information may yet emerge. Dan Markel's sons, now teenagers, haven't seen their paternal grandparents since their father's passing over a decade ago. Wendy changed their last names from Markel to Adelson, claiming it was for their safety and to give them a fresh start. Florida's restrictive grandparent visitation laws have left Ruth and Phil Markel with no legal avenue to see their grandchildren, no way to share memories of their father, no opportunity to maintain that connection to the son they lost. This case forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about human nature and the darkness that can hide behind respectable facades. How does a family, educated, wealthy, seemingly respectable, descend into planning an act of calculated harm? How does a custody dispute, something thousands of families navigate every year, spiral into irreversible tragedy? At what point does wanting something badly enough become justification for the unthinkable? Charlie Adelson believed his intelligence would save him. He believed he could talk his way out of anything, that his words would be his shield, that his ability to explain and justify would overcome any evidence. Instead, every word became another piece of evidence, every explanation another confession. Every phone call, every conversation, every attempt to control the narrative added another brick to the wall closing in around him. This wasn't just about ending Dan Markel's life. This was about control, about a family so determined to have things their way that they lost sight of the most fundamental truth. Some problems don't have solutions, and trying to force one can cost you everything you hold dear. The Adelson family wanted their daughter and grandchildren close. They wanted Dan Markel out of the picture. And rather than accepting the limitations of a custody arrangement, rather than finding ways to work within the system, they made a choice that destroyed everyone involved. Dan Markel's students remember him as passionate, brilliant, and dedicated to teaching. His colleagues recall his sharp legal mind and his commitment to justice. The ultimate irony, given how his life ended. His parents remember a devoted son and loving father whose life was stolen from him in the most cowardly way imaginable. His sons, now growing up without him, will forever carry the absence of a father who wanted nothing more than to be part of their lives. And somewhere in separate prisons, two members of the Adelson family will spend the rest of their lives paying for the decision to silence him forever. They wake up every day in a cell, knowing they will never leave, never see freedom again, never hold their grandchildren or celebrate holidays or live anything resembling a normal life. The thing they wanted most, family togetherness, is now permanently destroyed. The irony is devastating and complete. Thank you for watching Dark Trail Files. This case reminds us that justice may move slowly, but it moves. It may take years, even decades, but the truth has a way of emerging. If this story affected you, if it made you think about the choices we make and the consequences that follow, then share this video. Let others know that truth matters, that accountability exists, even for those who believe they're untouchable. Subscribe to Dark Trail Files for more deep investigations into cases that challenge everything we think we know about human nature. Hit that notification bell, because we're not done uncovering the truth. The darkest trails lead to the most important destinations, and we walk every step together. This is Dark Trail Files, and we'll see you in the next investigation.